Gaze reading where the greats drop by. Trendy authors tell us all the who, what, and why. Anyone can listen, cause we're spoiler free. Gaze reading, from Pulitzer stars to book club picks, where the curious minds can get their fix. So you say you're not gay, well that's okay. There's something for everyone. Gaze reading.
Hello and welcome to Gaze Reading, the book podcast for everyone. I'm your host, Jason Blitman, and I am so happy to have you here today, along with our guests, the prolific best-selling author, Fredrik Backman, and my guest gay reader for the day, debut memoirist, Erika J. Simpson, who Roxane Gay calls a writer who is absolutely going places. Both Fredrik's and Erika's bios are in the show notes. If you are new to Gaze Reading, welcome. And if you've listened before, thank you so much for coming back. Gaze Reading is an indie podcast and a labor of love of mine. So if you are enjoying the show, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Share us with your friends. And if you are so inclined, leave a 5-star review so that the algorithm can help other folks find the show as well. It means so much. And thank you to those of you who have already done so. You can also find Gaze Reading all over the place. We are on Instagram at Gaze Reading. We're on Blue Sky, YouTube. You could watch these episodes, and newly on Substack. So make sure to check that out. I have some exclusive content over there and a bunch of free stuff for free subscribers as well. Tonight, I'll be in conversation with actor Lily Taylor talking about her book, Turning to Birds, and the recording of that conversation will be featured over in the Substack. Some books that are publishing today that I want to shout out. Disco Witches of Fire Island by Blair Fell, which, speaking of Substack, I have a fantastic Q&A with Blair over there. Shop Girls by Jessica Anya Blau, who, of course, wrote Mary Jane, which was one of my favorite books a couple of years ago. Another new book, All the Mothers by Domenica Ruta. I have started this book. I'm about 15 to 20 pages in, and I'm really loving it so far. It's so funny, and I'm surprised this is not popping up in more places because I think it's going to be really great, and I'm looking forward to reading it. Home of the American Circus by Allison Larkin. I loved her 2021 novel, The People We Keep. I can't wait to pick this one up. The River is Waiting by Wally Lamb, which was my very first Wally Lamb, and it was devastating, and I hear that's par for the course for Wally Lamb, but it was really terrific. And also The Original Daughter by Jemima Way. Jemima is next week's Gaze Reading guest, and she is in Aardvark Book Club selection this month. And of course, I'm continuing my partnership with Aardvark Book Club to provide an exclusive introductory discount. New members in the United States can join today and enter the code Gaze Reading at checkout to get their first book for only $4 and free shipping. You can get your copy of The Original Daughter by Jemima Way for only $4 by going to aardvarkbookclub.com and using the code Gaze Reading. It's such a good deal. They are great on social media. I'm a big supporter of Aardvark Book Club and appreciate all of their support as well. All of that said, thank you so much for being here and enjoy my conversations with Fredrik Backman and Erika J. Simpson.
I have one who likes to stay at home, and the son likes computers, and the daughter, she goes to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and she drives go-karts.
Oh my.
So I have one of each.
She's so cool.
I have one of each.
I'm sure he's very cool too, but in a different way, in a way that I understand a little bit more.
Yeah. I have one very introverted and one very extroverted.
Yeah, you relate to him, I'm sure.
We knew that it could happen because my wife and I are very different people, so it makes kind of sense. So we're not entirely surprised with that.
No, I've heard you talk on other interviews about some of those differences between you and your wife and how that shakes out in life and in your writing. And so this doesn't surprise me either as a consumer of your content.
I think the basic difference is that she actually likes things and I don't. So
that sounds about right.
Been told
that sounds about right. It's so funny. I will say, welcome to Gaze Reading.
No, thank you.
We can be curmudgeons together.
I try to explain to people that I make a living from sitting alone in a room talking to people that I haven't made up. If I enjoyed real people, I would be out in the real world and I would sell cars or be in an office or
sell cars.
I would do
first go-to.
one of the things where you
right,
when you work with people.
Of course. I'm grateful that you stay at home and talk to the people that are imaginary because that means we get more of your books and I love them. So thanks for that. You are here to talk about your newest, my
Yeah,
friends, your new beautiful book. Have you worked out an elevator pitch for it yet?
no, I don't have elevator pitches. I have my wife, whenever
No,
someone
just
asks me, because you sit in once in a while. I'm not in meetings a lot because my wife runs the business
right.
and she's done that for 8 years because everybody just, in 2017, I had a burnout and then everybody just kind of realized that this is not going to work out. So she took over everything. She runs the business. I handle everything that's in imagination and she handles everything that's in reality.
Yeah.
So very rarely do I sit in on meetings, but when I do and someone asks me for an elevator pitch, my wife, she rolls her eyes so hard she gets a concussion. And then she says, is the elevator stuck?
Right.
Because
How many
that's
floors is it?
the way he can do it. He can do it if it's stuck. Do you have 45 minutes? He'll
Right.
tell you roughly what it's about.
No, you should just say, read it or don't.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's very.
Your publicist is going to love that I just said that.
I feel like you can only do an elevator pitch on something that you haven't created yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Because
think
you're able to see it from the outside.
I think you also have to make an elevator pitch. You have to. I feel like people use elevator pitches and they go. It's like this, a reference of choice, and then meets this reference of choice with a sprinkle of this. But then that's all depends on what that reference is to you.
Yeah. So using that model, I would say it is art meets friendship or friendship meets art. And what would you say is a sprinkle of?
I don't know, violence perhaps, because I had this discussion with someone the other day. Someone said it doesn't actually have a lot of violence in it, but it feels like violent.
Yeah.
For whatever elevator pitch I can make, it's two stories. It's one takes place 25 years ago and one takes place now. And the then story is this group of friends, and they all know that they're not going to make anything out of themselves. They all know that they're not going to leave this town that they're in, and they all know that they're not going to amount to anything. And they come from these dysfunctional homes.
Listen, I want to tell you, I heard you. The elevator is not stuck. You don't have to come up with an elevator pitch. Let's just talk about your book. I have so many questions. Let's just talk about it.
But the thing that I wanted, it's about these kids. It's about most of the people in the story are teenagers, and you feel at the mercy of the world. You're not in control of your environment. You left to the good graces of other people.
Yeah.
You left at the mercy of a lot of adults, and if those adults are not well intended, then you're screwed. So it's that threat. I think it's the threat of violence more than actual violence. There's not that much violence in it, but it's the constant. You live under the constant threat of violence, and
we all do.
That's the running. For me, it's the running thread in the book.
Yeah. You just talked about adults, and something that you say early on in the book is that adults are the worst kind of humans. Yeah. Which I hard agree. We are the worst. Though I like to still think I'm relatively young.
I do think that adults are the worst. It's the opening line of the book, so it's not a spoiler or anything. It's
no, it's not.
I think adults are the worst kind of humans. I put a lot of hope to the.
Why do you think that is? Why do we suck? Why are we the worst?
We're supposed to be, and then the kids are supposed to be better. My daughter is in charge of music in the car to school in the mornings, because my son doesn't care. And so she's in charge of music. And once in a while, she'll play something. All of a sudden, Guns N' Roses became big again because of TikTok, because someone somewhere had the TikTok. And then,
welcome back, Guns N' Roses.
For a minute, Guns N' Roses were huge with 11-year-olds, which is nice, but it was also, I told her, like, it's fun whenever you find something that I listened to when I was a kid, but whenever she listens to something that I don't understand, that I don't get, I try to remember that's how it's supposed to be. Like, she's supposed to listen to things that I don't get, and she's supposed to do things that I don't understand, and she's supposed to think that I'm stupid. That's how it's supposed to be. Because
That's the
only
circle
way
of life.
to move forward to
Yeah.
better. The only reason that we have hope in the youth is because maybe you won't fall in the same traps as us, and maybe you'll actually stick to your ideals for a little while. Maybe you'll be different.
I'm going to guess that I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask just in case anyway. Are you open-minded? Do you like learning from her? Or are you just, girl, live your life? It's okay that I don't get it. I don't want to get it.
Most of the time I would say that I don't have the energy.
Right.
I very rarely have the energy to be curious. But you learn stuff anyway. If you hang around your kids for long enough, you can't help but learn things.
Right.
It kind of sticks. And I think last year, the Spotify Wrapped.
Oh yeah.
I think my Spotify was it was the top 5% of Taylor Swift listeners that year, which I've never for myself decided that I'm going to listen to Taylor Swift now. But we had we drove back and forth to Spain last summer, so there was a lot of Taylor Swift going on. And then my wife just said, when you drop the kids off at school, I'm like, yeah. Do you change the music when they get out? I think I probably don't. And she says, so you have like a half an hour, 40 minutes to your office then?
Right.
Yeah, she said, that might be it.
So it just seeps into you.
That just seeps into your life. I would give myself good chances in a competition to recite Taylor's lyrics. I think I know a little too much, but it's nice. I have with my kids now. I have what I enjoy the most is that they introduce me to. We've always watched a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows together as a family because it's how my wife and that's how we built our relationship, because that was the only thing that we had in common to begin with. Like the only thing that we both genuinely loved and where we loved the same things. We didn't like the same music. We didn't like the same books. We didn't like the same art. We didn't like the same anything, but we liked movies. Like we could go to the cinema. So it's always, since the kids were small, we go to the cinema all the time. So they just learn somehow that this is a family thing. So we haven't told them now that they're teenagers that it's not like in law or anything. You don't have to do it with us. You could go to the cinema by yourself, but they haven't quite figured that out yet, which we are grateful for. But
that's very nice.
I think what I enjoy most is that they introduced me to movies and TV shows that I would have never found otherwise.
Yeah.
And we can watch sitcoms together, which is awesome because you hear your kids laugh, have that moment where, now we're laughing at the same thing. And that's such a bonding moment because I can remember the first time that happened to me and my dad. My dad doesn't laugh a lot. He doesn't laugh out loud a lot. Remember him laughing out loud, us laughing out loud at something at the TV at the same time.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I remember exactly what it was. And I'll remember it for the rest of my life. And that's where...
Can you share it? Or you don't want to share it?
No, it's two Swedish comedians.
Oh, fun.
From like the 70s, 80s. So really old school Swedish comedians. But I remember it so well that it's a kind of an Abbott Costello duo. And I remember it so clearly that it was such a pivotal moment for the way I view humor and comedy, the way I write jokes. I think you can trace it all the way back to there, and because that's when I figured out that you have to construct a joke for someone you like to make them laugh. That's why it works. Construct it for an audience. You have to construct it for someone to make them laugh, and then other laughs will follow. But that's not the important laugh. The important laugh is the one that
the intentional one.
You're human. And I think when now that they introduce me to something, we'll watch a TV show, we'll laugh at the same thing, or they'll send me a reel or a meme or whatever the words are. They'll send me something that they know will make me laugh.
Yeah.
Then I laugh when they come in from the other room. I knew you would laugh at that. That's a stupid dad joke. And then they'll criticize me for laughing, but they knew exactly what I would. Like they pinpointed my sense of humor in a way and these are the things that I learned from. And also they read a lot, especially my daughter reads a ton. And She'll introduce me to a lot of books that I wouldn't have been introduced to otherwise. And understanding that, oh, you're reading this. Oh, this is why you like it. Okay, what is the appeal of this counter? Oh, you didn't like this, but this should have been. No, you didn't like that, but you have this opportunity to. That's how I get to know everyone. I think I have too many social issues to figure people out, but I can figure it out. Oh, you like these things. I want to know what you like.
So you're contradicting yourself because you are much more open to learning from your children than you initially let you believe.
If you hang out with your kids enough, you can.
Right, it happened.
But they are, I mean, they like a lot of crap too. Not everything that they like a lot of bad things. It's a nice thing. But especially, I think the books the last couple of years has been awesome. Going to a bookstore with my daughter was a moment where I talked to someone in the book industry a while back at a book publishing house. They were all complaining. The book industry, everything is a crisis, and the kids don't read anymore. And because that's the mantra of the book industry, that no one reads and everything is going on. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but the kids are fine. I mean, kids, maybe people my age don't read as much, but that's a us problem. Don't blame that on the teenagers. The teenagers read a ton. If you go into any bookstore, it's their world now. They've absolutely taken over, and I think that's awesome. Started going into bookstores with my daughter maybe 3-4 years ago. When she started finding books of her own, I need that. And we had to go to and she wants to go to a physical store. She wants to browse. She wants to run. She wants to see the books. She wants to hold them. That really changed the entire way I think that I view the industry. And I accept none of the gloom now of, oh, the industry is dying. The industry is absolutely not dying. The industry
and something amazing about your books is that they are relatively universal, and teenagers can pick those up as well, in addition to adults, and everyone can get something out of it. Back to your humor for a second.
Sure.
I laugh a ton in reading your books, so I feel like we have a very similar sense of humor, or at least how it's translated into English. But there's something in particular in my friends that is very universal, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but a very huge part of the book, at the nucleus of the book, is a fart.
Yeah.
Why is that so funny to everybody?
It's not funny to everybody, let me tell you, because there was a lot of criticism among publishers and early readers and everything that there were too many fart jokes. I've taken some fart jokes out, to be fair. So there aren't as many fart jokes as there was to begin with.
Fredrik, I counted them.
Yeah? How many are there?
Do you want to guess?
I have absolutely no idea.
28.
28. But I think that's a reasonable amount. It's over 400 pages. I think 28 fart jokes.
The percentage is pretty solid.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
I think it was just this thing that, I don't know. I think part of it is that my children are now, when I wrote this book, my children are just now too old for fart jokes, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense, because we're all children inside of us.
Which makes them twice as funny to me. Like because the book is about teenagers, but the most of the teenagers they're living 25 years ago, which I don't try to write. I don't try to pretend that I know what it's like to be a teenager today. I write them the way it was 25 years ago, and with the belief that I don't think it has changed that much. I think the world around us has changed a lot, but I don't think the basic emotions that you go through as a teenager, trying to find your way in life, I don't think the friendship that you have as a teenager, I don't think any of that changed. I think that's the same now as it was 25 years ago. But I think that since these teenagers they're growing up in this, with this threat of violence, this darkness, they carry this immense sadness. They have lost parents. They've been through really rough things, and they carry this sadness and this fear and this overwhelming darkness within them. So fart jokes are there to remind the reader and to remind me that these are kids.
Yeah.
There's the kids. And at that turning point when you're 14, 15, where you're kind of, you're not an adult yet, but you're also not quite a kid. And that's such a, the fart jokes is just there to remind me and the reader that these are still kids. They're fighting for their right to be kids. They're really struggling. Like we don't want to stop being kids. We want the right to stay kids. We want summer and just be stupid and childish and irresponsible and misbehave and do stupid stuff because that's what you're supposed to do when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
That's your job. It's your job to be stupid.
And I would argue, though, too, that it's not only a reminder to us that they're kids, but it's a reminder to us that the word fart is in the book 28 times to say, adults that are reading this, you're allowed to find this funny. It could be levity for you, too. And I think that was a nice reminder to me of, oh, I'm allowed to laugh with them. The book it's about art. It's about chosen family, about finding your people. It is dedicated to anyone who's young and wants to create something, do it. Was that advice that was given to you?
No. I mean, maybe I kind of wish that someone had given me that advice at some point. I think it's on top of all the fart jokes, which because I enjoy them, and I think this story in particular needs a lot of jokes to kind of be the vehicle so that the darkness of it doesn't become overwhelming. But I think at its core, if what I really wanted the book to be, I struggled for a really long time. That's an insanely long story, but I struggled. I've never struggled so much with my confidence as I did the last 2 years. I've never had so many moments where I felt like I don't think I'm going to do this anymore because I felt like I don't have it. Whatever I had is gone. And I never quite knew what it was I had, which makes it when you feel like you can't find your way, it's I don't have a formula to go back to.
If you don't know what's lost, you can't find it.
No, because I don't know how I managed to write the first place. And I've written books that are to me quite different. I just had, it was a 2-year long breakdown. I also had health problems, and for a long while, I had long discussions with my wife that maybe I shouldn't do this anymore because it's not, I don't think this is good for me. I don't think it's good for my brain. I think this is messing me up more than anything. And I wrote the first draft of this book, and to put it bluntly, a few people read it, publishers, a few trusted readers, and you have this focus group, and no one liked it. And it's not like people tell you that we don't like it. It's you get it back, and you know the difference between excitement and not. And you get it back, and you can see in her eyes that this is not it. It's not there. Nothing is happening here. And my wife told me that in the way that she does, that it's pretty dark. When you tell a story, normally there's a lot of darkness, but you have this light coming through it, and that's what makes it special. And there's no light here because there's not a lot of light in you right now. Maybe as a writer, I was doing fine as a human being. It was just the writing part. As a writer, I felt like I'm just in a hole. And then out of that came 2 pieces of advice. There was the 2 writers that I know that I trust a lot were exceptional writers, and one of them said, I get angry with you every time you leave the pier with the kids. Like they're on that pier, and I think it's awesome. And then every time you leave that pier, I just get angry with you because that part is so great, and the other part is just in comparison nothing. So I took everything out except for the parts that I had with the kids at the pier, and I rewrote the whole thing. And the whole now story came from that. And because the whole now story then focused on, okay, I have to write about someone my age.
Yeah.
I put a lot of me in it, and then maybe we'll find something. And then the other piece of advice was that another writer said, you know what? It made me really want to be a better dad. And that was feedback on it. He just said it really made me want to be a better dad. And I just clung to that and felt like, all right, what can I do with this? And then I sat down and I felt, okay, I'm going to write this as if it was my last book. I'm going to write it as if, because I had been talking so much to my wife about retiring from writing or retiring from book publishing. I would still write. I just wouldn't publish it.
The machine,
Just retiring. So I sat down and I thought, if this was going to be my last book, if this is the last thing that I ever publish, what would I want it to be? And then for me, I always thought that my last book would be for someone who wants to write. I want to write it for someone who wants to do the things that I do. And if this is the last thing I'll do, I'll try to write it for you. So that's where the dedication came from. So I wrote the dedication. When I started to rewrite the book, I just started with a new document. And the first thing I wrote was that dedication. For anyone who's young and wants to create something, do it. And then that was the whole anthem of the story after that. And then whenever I got lost, I went back to that. I'm writing for this person. Never mind the critics, never mind the people who are not going to like the book, because that's the problem. You write and you think about the people who are not going to like the book, but they're not going to like the book either way. So it doesn't matter. But that was the person I wrote it to. So that's where the dedication came from.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of that. I think not dissimilar from the fart joke. That's a nice reminder of these kids are teenagers and they're allowed to be having fun, and the dedication for you to turn back whenever you lost your way. This is who the book is for. And frankly, that comes across. It comes through. My background is in theater. I'm not a writer per se. I've had author friends tell me that you are the story you tell yourself. And so if you tell yourself you're not a writer, then you're not going to be one. And that's besides the point. I'm also gay, and chosen family and finding family is so important to me. And that is so much of what this book is about. Your protagonist is gay. Yeah. Where did that come from?
I wish I had a good answer to that, but I don't know.
It's okay.
It's not in my mind. It was
that's all. It doesn't need to be profound.
No. It was just, there wasn't, because once in a while I get these questions. Why is this person this? Why is this character this? Why did you choose for this character? And it's very rarely that I have a strong, super smart answer. It's very often just because they are. Because I wanted it to be about different kinds of love, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And I think that is how it read on the page. I think it was me turning what I wanted to make a statement into a question, because really what I just wanted to say to you is that it meant something to me. That's who came out of you. And I didn't just want to say that, so I asked a question. But
no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I just wish I had a more smart and answer. It's just, to me.
But Fredrik, I have to tell you that the fact that you don't is meaningful, because for him to just be is more than we get sometimes.
It's but it was also because the whole story is about love, but it's also about unanswered love, and it's also about this is all that this relationship can be.
Yeah.
And he decides to be fine with it. And there's this discussion about being you're friends with someone and you're so close that this is as close as you can get to being something more than friends. This is the absolute closest you can be to being more than friends.
Yeah.
And that was the thing because either you get that or you don't. I think if you explain that to someone, if you ever had a friendship that was like, this is such an intense friendship that this is absolute close that you can get to. This is as absolute close as you can get to love someone and not being in love with them. This is the absolute closest you can get. And I was looking for that, because I think the older you get, the more difficult it is to experience that.
Yeah.
I think you close too many parts of yourself off. And maybe it came from that, because that was the thing that I was searching for. And then to me, it was obvious to me the same way that it's obvious to Louisa, who is the teenager that he travels with. She figures him out so quickly.
Yeah.
that he's both a little touched, but also deeply
Exposed.
and a little angry. Like he's a little
Yeah.
like he thinks it's very nice, but it's also very deeply insulting
Right.
to him, because to him it's not that obvious. I think most men that I know, gay or straight or whatever, we have this idea that we are enigmas, that we are riddles, that we are impossible to understand. And I had this at some point. We're really not. Like most of us are really. It doesn't matter. It's like you're not as complicated as you think.
Speak for yourself.
That was the moment where she just starts talking about him, and he's a little insulted because he never and she saw straight through him, like in an instant, and she was fine with it. She doesn't put any value in it one way or the other. She doesn't care. It's just
No.
there.
And he's just existing. Nothing really is about his sexuality, really. I said earlier, the book is about empathy. It's about all sorts of things. And my background is in theater. I during COVID, when the world shut down and people weren't gathering and there was no theater, I needed to have a real existential moment of what was it about this art form that meant something to me. And so I boiled it down and boiled it down, and it was about storytelling and about empathy and about teaching empathy and about sharing other people's stories. And that's how I segued into books and segued into this podcast, because hearing from other people is the best way to learn empathy, to gain empathy. And specifically in the book, there's a quote that art is empathy. Can you unpack that? What does that mean to you?
I mean, in that I'm just trying not to turn this answer into a TED talk now.
It's a short elevator ride, Fredrik.
It's a recurring theme now that I was trying to explain what art is to me.
Yeah.
And this, in the way that
I have a whole list of how I imagine you define it.
Yeah, but and also a lot of that comes from the fact that, first of all, you talk about being a writer and you are what you tell yourself that you are. And I steer away from the word author. That's my defense to it. Like, I'm not an author. I'm not trying to be an author. That's not my goal. It's not my intention. I'm a storyteller. So that's how I
Can you say, to someone who might not understand the difference, is there a brief way to describe what the difference is to you?
Because an author that's this huge, because it's a defense mechanism, because what you have is it's this deep imposter syndrome that every sane person has. If you meet a person who doesn't have an imposter syndrome, it's like, wait.
If they don't have imposter syndrome, then they're liars.
If they don't have imposter syndrome, they're dangerous. It's also, I have nothing in common with people. I don't know what to talk about with people who think they're really good at what they do. I don't know where to start with you. You have to start with me with your flaws and your fears and we have to start. Are you afraid of heights? Can we start there? Spiders, perhaps? Let's start with your phobias. I don't know, but we can't start with what you feel that you are great at, because I don't have anything I feel that I'm great at. And so it starts with the imposter syndrome. It starts with the fact that I didn't think I was gonna like writing. I like stories. The only thing I ever liked when I was growing up. I just loved stories. I just loved to not be in reality. I just loved the fact that someone could take me someplace else. I still love stories. It's still the only thing that I really enjoy. I love it when other writers, once in a while, other writers will show me something they've written, and then if you have any notes of feedback, and I'm like, do I? And then they're like, yeah, let's go for lunch. And then 4 hours later, they're like, you really thought about this. I'm like, this is the only thing I enjoy. This is the only thing I like. Talking about a story, it's the only thing I like. Like dissecting something. Why is this good? Why is this so good? It's the only thing I enjoy. But I had this overwhelming feeling that this is not something that I can do. This is not something, I'm not good enough. I'm not talented enough. I don't understand the craft enough. I'm not good enough at the language. My grammar sucks, whatever it is that the obstacles that you put up.
The story we're telling ourselves.
And then slowly I just figured out that all through my 20s, I battled this, trying to find out, can I write? Should I write? Am I allowed to write? Because you meet a lot of people who tell you that you shouldn't write because you're not writing the way that you're supposed to, and you're not, an author is this. And then I just figured out, okay, what if I'm not an author? What if my goal is not to be an author? What if my goal is not for critics to love me or for anyone to say that I'm smart? What if my goal is not to win awards or whatever? What if the goal is just something else? And I figured out slowly that I'm not a great writer. I'll never be a great author, but I'm pretty good at telling stories. Like, I am how a story is constructed, and I really enjoy that part of it, like how you build things, the little blocks in there. And I slowly but surely I figured out that maybe I can do this. And I had the same, and then I met my wife and I realized, wow, I have the exact same imposter syndrome when it comes to art. Like, it's because I had a lot of literature in my life as a kid, but I didn't have a lot of art in my life as a kid. So I never felt like I would go to a museum with my wife, and my wife is really into art, and she studied art for a little while, and she's really into that to an annoying extent, because I'll say, I really like this, and I'll put a reference, and she's, yeah, it's the wrong reference, but I love you. But
also having an emotional response to something is important regardless.
Yeah, but she started showing me art, and we started going to museums. Like, cinema was the first thing that we really did together. And then we started going to museums, and we started going to art expeditions, and I didn't get it. And then slowly but surely, I started feeling like, I think it's okay for me to be here, even if I don't get it. I had that. I walked into a gallery and I felt I don't belong here. They're gonna find out that I don't know what I'm, and they're gonna throw me out. And because I love sports and she loved art. And so I took her to a hockey game, and she was like, what the hell? Why are all these people? And then I slowly but surely, I would look at something and I would slowly understand that, okay, what this artist did is the same thing that I'm trying to do. He's trying to find a way to make sense of the world to him. This is his coping mechanism. I went to therapy, extensive therapy. In 2017-18, my therapist told me that if you had any other job, Fredrik, I would seriously recommend you to be on antidepressants. But I don't think you can write the way you write if you are on antidepressants. And I think the fact that you write the way you do is your coping mechanism. I think that's how your brain tries to make sense of your reality, make you moderately functioning being. And I figured out that, all right, this is someone else's art, is someone else's attack on this. This is someone else's effort to make sense of the world. When it's good and when it works, it's because you didn't do it for me, you did it for you. Yeah. You try to make sense of you in this. And then, that artist empathy came from that. And then it also came from the fact that, it's a really long answer to a short question, but it came fact
it's a beautiful answer.
It came from the fact that all through the book, I'm trying to explain that thing when you don't have words for whatever it is that you're trying to explain. And there's this person that you love and you want to explain something. You want them to know that you are trying really hard to feel what they're feeling. And because empathy is insanely hard, because empathy is very often are expected to put it into words, which is impossible. But this thing where my wife and I could look at the same piece of art, and when she said, I really love this, and I would turn around, I love it too. I love it too. I don't know why, but I was looking at it like there was 40 paintings in here, and this is the one I like. And she says, this is the one I like too. That moment when you have that with someone, and that's why when I was a kid, you would make mixtapes for each other. Like, it's the same thing. It's this, or someone I get really happy when people tell me that I read your book and I gave it to someone. Like, I read your book and I gave it to my mom, and then she read it and she because it's this whole thing. I thought of you. I read this and I thought of you, and I really think you should read it too. I think this would be something for you. And
Yeah.
that the way that my dad will call me, he'll never call me. He's never once has he called me and said, "What's up?" or "How are you?" or "I've been thinking about you." That's not the way he communicates. He'll call and say, I was at the hardware store the other day and I remember that your wall, whatever, had whatever in it.
A hole in it.
I was at the hardware store and so I bought it. Can I come by and put it up? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
You can't just say, I thought about you. I just wanted to know how you were doing.
Yeah.
Can we hang out for a bit? But it's not the way that we communicate, and it's never been, and that's fine. But so that was the thing. If you can't express your emotions, you don't know the words, then you show someone a piece of art and you say that I really love this. And that's your way of saying, I really love you. And I want to know what's going on inside of you. And I just want to be where you are.
It circles back to you talking about your kids sending you reels and memes. That's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same. But yeah, no, it circles back to that. It's
well, because when they think of you,
memes and reels, and just saying, you send someone an Instagram reel, it's really like, I thought of you.
Yeah.
I saw this and I thought of you. In the same way that I saw this piece of art and I thought of you.
And for better and for worse, all of this stuff is art. Just the reel is art, and the book is art, and paintings are art, and theater is art, and whatever someone took time to create and put their hearts into. You were talking about saying that you like something and you and your wife are able to talk about that. I think you can also both not like something, or one of you like something and one of you not like something. And to unpack why and what that means and what is, okay, I don't like it, but what is this artist trying to say? What are they trying to discover about the world and say about the world in a way that I'm not understanding or don't appreciate or whatever? And
someone said to me that it's not important in a relationship that you love the same things. It's enough that you hate the same things.
Yeah.
Shared hatred is very underrated.
Absolutely. This book really is so special. And I have to tell you what you just said about sharing your books with people. Anxious People is one of those books that I have my own copy of, but I always make sure to have at least 2 copies of it in my home so that I can gift it to someone. So when I get it, I'll get one at the bookstore, or I'll get it at the thrift store, or I'll pick it up on the sidewalk. I always make sure to have a second copy of Anxious People so that I can make sure to give it to somebody.
No, that genuinely, it is genuinely very nice, and it's nice that it's that book, because that book was the most. I wrote that as a writing exercise, because I was coming out of therapy and I didn't think I was going to be able to write again, because I was too messed up and I was trying to just get back to being a normal human being. Sorry, my dog is making a lot of noise now.
That's okay.
And I was coming out of therapy and I was battling all these panic, anxiety going on inside me. And I started writing Anxious People as a writing exercise. I'm going to write this to get back into writing, and then I'm going to write an actual book. And then that turned into a book. But the way that people respond to it when you say that you give that book to someone else, I think that's one of the most meaningful things that's happened to me in my career. That book really resonated with people in the way that I want someone else to read this so we can talk about it. It's been fun to talk about with people who they view as the main character, because I didn't write it like that. There's these ongoing discussions with people who are like, you're not supposed to write a book this way. And I'm like, I know, but it wasn't supposed to be a book. It just kind of grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. That's why the structure of it is chaotic. I know it's chaotic. But the discussion with people, like, people keep asking me who's the main character, and I'm like, there is no main character. Some people can't, they're just so, and people have very strong views on who is the character, who is the engine of the story.
Yeah.
And so it's been one of the, I think out of all the things I've written, it's the most interesting for me. It's the thing that people most often say something about that I'm like, huh, I didn't think about that. I didn't know.
I mean, one would argue that anxiety is the main character of the story.
Yeah, I would. So it's this.
Anxiety is the main character of my
I think,
story too.
Honestly, I think anxiety is the main character to me. The way the town is the main character in Beartown.
Yeah. You are a beautiful storyteller. I will never call you an author again.
Thank you. Less pressure.
If this is your last book, I hope it's not, but if it is, it's a very special one. It is worthy of being the last one. If it is, I validate you. I validate your feelings.
Thank you. That's all I wanted it to be.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think you unpacking the difference between author and storyteller. I think author has this capital A and storyteller maybe has a lowercase s. And it's okay if things are messier when you're a storyteller. And it's okay if you break the mold and break the form. I think it resonates with more people than you realize. And this was a beautiful piece of art and it meant a lot to me. And so thank you for writing it. I can't wait for everyone to read it.
Well, I appreciate that a lot. Let's just to say something about the storytelling aspect of it. I really hope that it was something for someone who wants to create something. I want it to be something where people read it and feel like, I think I can do something. I think I could do something. I think I could do my take on this. I think I have something to add to this. I think I could do something similar to this or my own thing. But I think if this moron is actually finishing things, then maybe I can too. I want it to be that. The author thing is that I don't want anything that I write to feel like I'm talking to you from a stage, like way over there, and there's a crowd between us. I don't want it to feel like that. I want it to be just, I want you to feel that it's just you and me. And I want you to feel like we were at the airport and the flight was delayed and we sat at the bar, and we had a beer and we were bored. And I said, you want to hear a story? And you were like, yeah, all right.
Or maybe we were on a train ride.
Yeah. Or a train. We were on a train and we were bored. You want to hear a story? Sure. Yeah. And that's like, I've said it a ton of times all through my career. That's what I wanted to feel like. I want you to feel like it was just me saying, you want to hear a story? And you're like, yeah, all right. And then when that kind of landed with me, that maybe I can use that. So that's the frame I'm using for this story. It's just it's two people on a train and he starts telling her a story and she says, and then what? And he's like, and he kind of, I shouldn't have told you that. I didn't want, but now it's too late. Now you can't stop the story there. You have to let me know what happened. And there's
the train is moving.
It's growing from there, but it's also this thing that he tells her something very sad and she starts crying and he says, it's 25 years ago. She's not to me. To me, it's happening now because whatever happens in the story is happening now. And that was the thing that I tried to achieve. So we'll see how it goes. It's
like you talking about laughing with your dad. I wanted to know immediately what it was you were laughing at. And for all I knew, you didn't remember because it was so long ago. But to me, you're telling me the story now. I want to know what movie you and your wife saw for the first time. Like I'm engaged in the story.
No. And
it's for another day.
We're laughing at is the joke that we were laughing at. These two Swedish comedians, and one of them is explaining to him that there was a nuclear plant. There was an accident in a nuclear plant called Harrisburg. But the experts, they have told us that it was so unlikely that this would ever happen that the most likely thing is that it's never happened at all. And he has this whole, it's like an entire joke that people, like the experts, even though they're standing in front of the actual action, they will tell you, this is so unlikely. In all likelihood, it likely hasn't happened at all. But you're standing right in front of it. Yeah, but that's not likely. Like the more likely scenario is actually that this hasn't happened. But yeah, but so the more likely scenario is that we're in parallel universes now, and
That's so funny.
that would be the more likely scenario, yes, because it's so unlikely. It's so unlikely that it's impossible. If something is impossible, so he has this, and it was so clever, and it was so smart, and he's dead serious. Like when he gets to the part that the most likely is that it hasn't happened at all, then my dad and I burst out laughing. And it was this moment of, wow, that when that happens, when you laugh at the same time, when it's one of the, I'm not involved in the adaptations of the book a lot. My wife handles all that because she's human beings. But one of the great joys, one of the great blessings of the adaptations has been they made A Man Called Otto, and to sit in a movie theater. And we went to Madrid for the premiere, and to sit in the middle of a movie theater with an all Spanish crowd, and there's a joke, and everybody in the crowd just burst out laughing. And I'm like, and then we were in a theater in New York, and we were in a theater in Stockholm. Laughs at the exact same spot, like the laugh at the exact same spot. And that's such a, like, right now, right at its moment, this is where we're the same. We're together. We're a team. Like all these strangers, like we're all in this together now. It's and that's when you go to the movies, you get that, because when you write a book, I imagine you have, like, if I write something that you, for one reason or another, feel connected to, that when you finish the book, when you close the book, I have you for maybe 30 seconds. Like there are 30 seconds before you return to reality. I have you for 30 seconds while you just, that something is, and that's the moment. That's a whole thing.
Right.
But when you go to the movies, you have that experience with strangers. And I think that you see something that's truly great, like you go to the movies, you see a movie that's really awesome or beautiful or moving or funny or something, and the end credits roll and the lights come on, and you stand up and you accidentally turn to the stranger next to you, and you just look in their eyes and they're like, awesome. You have that little, you don't say anything. It's just that, it's just.
I love that you say accidentally turn, because that's like your worst case scenario.
Yeah, that is accident. Eye contact, that's the nightmare. But you turn to someone and you're like, you turn to someone, like my wife says that if we make movies, she said, the goal has to be that everyone sits through the entire end credits, because no one wants to stand up and return to reality. Like everyone wants to drag, everyone just wants to sit with it for a little while. Because when you see something great, that's what happens. I would just want to sit with this for a little while. I just want to stay here for a little while. And the lights come on and people have tears in their eyes. And they're like, oh, shit. There are people. Like there are other people. And you turn to someone, you have tears in your eyes. Like you've been bawling your eyes out, and you turn and you have accidental eye contact with someone else, and they have tears in their eyes too. That's a moment that you don't get those moments a lot in life. That's
certainly not as a writer in a room by yourself.
No. But if you get that in any shape or form, I think that's to come back to our art is empathy. It's, if you get that in any shape or form, it's the version of this is when I have book signings once in a while where people come up to me and you can hear two people like chattering away, two friends, and they're like, blah, 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 blah. And you can hear them like they're 30 people down the line and they're blah, 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 blah. And when they finally come up and they laugh, this has happened a ton of times. And then one of them, it's your turn. And she'll turn and she'll go, it was so nice to meet you. I hope that we can email. It's like, you didn't know each other. We became friends in line.
Yeah.
Like we started talking while we were in line. And by the time that they came up to the front of the line, they were friends because they stood in line to the same thing. They were holding the same book.
There's a commonality. There's something to talk about.
And the other said, yeah, me too. And then
Yeah.
they just, and that's the closest thing that you get to that human connection. And I think if I was good at human connections in real life, I wouldn't write. I would seek out those human connections some other way. But I would love to, if I had been good at it when I was a kid, I would have loved to pursue theater. But the reason that just to give you something where I came from, we had in my, I don't know, is it high school when you're 16? Are you in high school?
Yes. Yeah.
We have 16 to 18. That's like you change schools when you're 16. And between 16 and 18, you go like, I don't know, your high school, I presume. And there was this, we called it a cabaret. At the end of the year, everyone would go up and you could do sketches or you could play a song or you could do whatever you wanted. And no one was really running, like no one was running it. And we were 16 and we started this school and we figured out, I think we could take this. Like no one has this, but they're telling us like once every 6 months at the end of year, we get to perform in front of the school. Like we'll have the entire school for an hour and they have to be here. We're going to go to the auditorium now and we're going to...
They can't close it and put it down.
Lock the doors and then the monkeys are running the zoo now. That's when I really started to figure out that maybe I could write, because I started writing jokes for others. Because I was on stage and it didn't work and I couldn't figure it out and I could never be that. Like I was never good at it. But then I wrote a joke and I said the joke and no one laughed. And then a friend of mine told the joke and everyone just died. And I'm like,
interesting.
There is something. Like maybe I could write this for someone else. And he couldn't write jokes. It's incredibly funny. So that's how that was the first time that I ever wrote something really that I was proud of. The first time I really wrote something that everyone got to see and and it was just me writing these sketches. And so I think had things gone differently, had I had an avenue to it, I think I would have tried to write theater, but I didn't know if there were more moving parts to write theater than to write books. So it was just
life is still ahead of you. There's still time.
Maybe.
It's all about telling a good story, which you're familiar with. Fredrik Backman, I could talk to you all day. Go be with your family. No, don't be sorry. Are you kidding? I'm grateful for your time. Thank you so much for being on Gaze Reading.
Thank you for having me. It was very, very nice. And
I'm so glad.
Really glad. I'm really, really glad you liked the book. I'm really glad that it connected to you somehow.
Yeah, no, it really did.
Guess Gay Reader Time.
You're matching your book.
Exactly. I've been trying to buy more lavender things.
Yes.
This is the hardcover.
Gorgeous. I had this on earlier. It's like a purplish, bluish sweater, but it got warm in here. But I was like, oh, I should have worn. Well, now you know. Now you know.
Let me take a picture. Just for the future. This is what happened. Thank you so much.
Erika J. Simpson. Welcome to Gaze Reading. My guest reader. We have.
Right, I'm about to say, will there be bisexual jokes? Will I still included in this space?
We are very inclusive on Gaze Reading. We are.
Can you see me? Am I visible? Thank God. It's for everyone, right?
Yes.
The theme song promises that this space is for everyone.
Yes, it is for everyone. Even if you didn't read the book, there are no spoilers. The theme song. I love my theme song. It is so ridiculous.
It's long.
And I could say that because I didn't write it. So funny.
It's great. You have to. I like that it's long, like a 90s sitcom.
I was going for The Nanny and the Rosie O'Donnell Show.
Yes, perfect. Perfect.
Because the people that I aspire to be are Fran Drescher and Rosie O'Donnell.
Fashion-wise.
That's the first thing that comes to mind is fashion-wise.
Yes, just fashion-wise. I got 100%. No fashion.
No, this is thrift.
That's why I write. Yes, I love to thrift.
Yes. You write because you don't have fashion sense.
Then I can't be seen, and then maybe I can afford to be seen after the book is out.
Yes, you do talk about thrifting in the book, but you also, I've seen on Instagram, you've thrifted 3 days in a row.
3 days in a row. I can't help it. 99-cent books, and I like to handle them too. I'm like, this is a children's book, Gucci Mane's autobiography. This is a children's book now.
This is a 50-cent book. I'm gonna only give you 50 cents, sir.
Fine. But I love it.
Oh my God. I know, me too. In fact, I was literally thinking you are my third of 3 interviews today. And so I was like, after this, I think I should go to the thrift store. Like, I was already thinking
just a little something sweet.
I know. It's so
take
cheap.
The edge off.
It's so cheap.
I know. It's finding something. It's just, I like to collect like childhood books. So I love collecting Goosebumps from there, like vintage 90s ones. I like finding romance novels from Book Talk for $2 instead of $27, just in case. Because sometimes you never know what Book Talk.
You never know. You never know what you're going to be in the mood for. Erika, you're my guest by reader today. What are you reading? Are you reading your Goosebumps? Are you reading? Tell me. I want to know everything.
Okay, so I got a few things because I dabble. So I am reading Want by Gillian Anderson. I'm also listening to it on audiobook so I can hear her read certain
her dulcet
tones.
Yes.
And she's British, if you're wondering. I don't know if you're up on your Gillian Anderson lore. Sometimes she's British, sometimes she's American. So do you know who that is, right? Yes, Scully.
You mean alum of the theater school at DePaul University?
Oh, I forgot you're a theater kid too. Yes, I only went to DePaul for Gillian Anderson.
Duh.
Okay. You feel me. So yeah, sometimes you get Scully, sometimes you get like The Fall. What's that British show she's on? The Queen.
The Queen. She was on Sex Education.
Yes. And she's British
so
there
good.
And being saucy.
Yes.
So I like how her voice reads some of the things. But it's a collection of women sharing their fantasies and sexual desires. And it makes you feel held. It makes you feel held because you know how sex is. It feels like it's something, the desire for it, the whatever you're into, it feels like something that's only happening in your head to you. You know what I mean? It's, ooh, I'm a naughty person. You know what I mean? So it's nice to hear other women talk about wanting to be desired. Or I'm also reading Parable of the Talents.
Tell me, what is this?
Octavia Butler. So Octavia Butler's book, Parable of the Sower.
Yes.
Is the one that takes place in 2024. And it's essentially like right now, literally it has a president who says, make America great again. And the world is in shambles from political stuff, climate change, fires in California. Like it's so accurate. It's scary.
Yeah.
I'm in the sequel right now.
We didn't know we had.
Yes. So she popped her big one with this. I love Octavia Butler. That's Mother. She's a Cancer like me.
Oh my God, love.
Oh, what's your sign? Aries, that's right.
I'm an Aries, yeah.
You just had a birthday.
I did. Look at you paying attention.
I'm watching. My eyes are on the ground. I gotta know who I'm talking to. I gotta know who's in here. But yes, I'm reading Parable of the Talent, but it's tough to get through because it's so accurate. And then it kind of makes you like a little scary. They essentially have to rebuild everything. It's like they're in survival mode. They're farming. You have to protect your community.
What's your elevator pitch for This Is Your Mother?
This Is Your Mother is a memoir that has 2 timelines that cross. The last 6 months of my mother's life paired with my life from the age of 9 to 25 when she passed, and the collision of identity when it comes to living inside your mother's story and then having to live without. How about that?
Girl, I'll cut the first one, but I will say for the children, this was take 2, off the cuff, gorgeous and brilliant.
Theater school. We got to use some degrees for something.
Listen, okay. I had the most unique reading experience that I have ever had reading a book.
Unique. I like that word. Why?
Because like our paths crossed, but we didn't know each other.
Oh, interesting. So it's like seeing the other side of the timeline or something?
Yes.
Where do we cross?
I was working in the admissions office at the theater school when you were a first-year student. I sat in that office and watched you and your classmates walking by.
I can absolutely picture you in that office.
I knew of you because of just like having an awareness of who the students were in the year below me, but we never had interactions. We never really had reasons to engage. I'm sure we were at the same parties.
Right.
Like, it's crazy.
Were you at the toga party?
I'm sure I was. I know so many of the people that you're referring to in the book.
Oh, like, excellent. It's almost scary. Like, whose name did I say? Dear God.
What's actually funny is the names you don't say.
Oh, Jesus. Exactly what I was saying. I was like, I didn't say it.
No,
Say
but
his
that's what
name.
I'm saying. The names that you do say, I was like, oh yeah, okay, okay. Like I know who Logan is. I know who Jeremy is. I know Brittany. I know.
Can't believe you know my dear Logan. That is my wife, even though she's stuck with those 3 cats.
So
That is my
funny.
wife.
And like again, we don't know each other necessarily very well, but like
Mhm.
uh,
She's like, oh, I know these
I knew
characters.
who they were. I know those
I hope I did
characters.
the environment justice.
Well, but that's again, Erica, that's what's so weird. It's like I was living my life in the building at the same time. If in the movie version of the book, I'm like in the background.
Right. You're like, literally, I can be here.
Right. And that's what's so
So
bizarre
cool.
to me. But like our paths didn't cross. And so there's this human walking amongst me. And now I have her whole story.
Were you also acting? What were you
No,
in
I was
school
a theater
for?
art student.
A theater arts student. Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I hope you didn't have to feel the pressure.
No, so my god kid was Mitchell Savello.
Mitchell.
Yeah.
That's Jeremy's other best.
I know. But so it's so weird to me. And
The
because
godson.
I know, but because Mitchell was my god kid and I like knew Jeremy tangentially
could
through
not
him,
wait to
I would
tell.
see Jeremy on the quad and I'd be like, this kooky guy with his like long
Yeah.
sweaters.
So tall. You can't miss him.
Yes. And
So
now, like,
precious.
obviously for him to become who he is, like, it's a no brainer. That's what happened.
Absolutely insane.
But, no, so it
I
was.
mean, after we got cut, we definitely used to like do fake interviews with each other in the dorm rooms because we were like, it's like it lights a fire under you. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not famous. I won't be famous. Show you. It's like when they get cut on RuPaul in the backstage. No, you haven't seen the last of me. You're gonna see my name everywhere. So,
No.
and it actually is working out. He got a play on Broadway, and several other million things, and memoir coming out. So
Yes. No, it's
we did it.
incredible. It's incredible. It made me think more about the people in our lives that we don't know their full selves.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because that's my whole existence is people not knowing what's going on with me or my past. Like when I came to college, when I came to theater school from Atlanta, Georgia, or really Decatur, Georgia, which is smaller, to this like predominantly white school and this Catholic school, like you're wearing a mask. Like I don't want you to know that I'm country and that I don't have any money and that I'm so desperate to make it because if I don't make it, my whole family could fail. I'm not gonna tell people that. So they just see like a girl that looks a little shy in the corner, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people are so willing to be the main star. It literally felt like a reality show, theater school. Because I know it's not that time in 2008, but it's like they're trying to get the gif off. Like, you know what I mean? The meme of remember me, remember my
Yeah.
catchphrases, remember? And it's like,
Yes.
I was in survival mode. So I felt like I would drift in the background, just trying to observe everything and everyone to see who has a story, who doesn't, who would understand me, who can I confide in.
Yeah.
And even Jeremy reading the book was like, I didn't know you were going through half of this stuff. And I'm like, I couldn't say.
For your
Bye.
own protection.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is a competitive environment. So I
Mhm.
can't give you guys my weaknesses or else I won't. I got cut anyway. So I got cut anyway.
It's so interesting because I have so many feelings about all sorts of things. One of them being when you're 18 years old, how are you expected to know who you are? And
No.
how can you be your authentic self when you don't even know what that means?
Yeah, so you're in a new environment too.
And you're
And
trying to
competing over
become.
who's becoming quickest. I'm like, I'm
Right?
just trying to learn the rules. And the longer I was there, I felt like I was getting more jumbled because they're like, you need to learn Stanislavski and you need to learn this person and this technique. And I'm like, oh, I just did like talent shows and stuff in school. Like, this is so
Yeah.
left field
Yeah.
for 18-year-old. And then to be cut, to have someone tell you at that age, like 18 years old, oh, you're not an actress, but have a nice day. That's like identity shattering. I think they've since cut the cut.
They have cut
Like
the
they
cut.
do, yeah.
The world of theater is so commercial right now, and it's all about what's going to make money, what's going to sell.
Yes.
And a book, even if it doesn't sell, the book is in the world. It
Yeah.
can be picked up at the thrift store. It's on the
Yeah.
shelf in
It
the
came
bookstore.
out of you.
It came out of
It
you.
touched someone.
And there is an opportunity for someone to pick it up.
Yes.
Someone could write a play, it can get produced, and then it can never see the light of day ever again.
Lost media terrifies.
Yeah.
This is why I collect DVDs, books, and stuff. I'm like,
Yes.
lost media terrifies me. The things that we cannot ever see again, that someone put their heart and soul into creating.
I know. My husband every
It's
once in a while is
terrifying.
like, will you get rid of some of your CDs? And I was like,
It-
no, those are not streamable.
okay,
Those are not all streamable.
the moment I don't pay my Apple Music and like I go for a walk and it's, oh, you don't own a stitch of music. I'm like, oh, it is so terrifying.
Right.
Also, I thought I had so many CDs from high school, and I was like, look, I have a whole thing full. I open up the folder, it's nothing but mixed CDs. Nothing but mixed CDs.
But we love a mix CD.
We used to be a culture. Like, we used to just make our
Yes.
friends this love package of music. Here's
Yes.
13 songs.
What would be on your
Or-
mixtape?
Well,
What's like the first
A.
couple?
Marie, One Thing is the first thing that came to mind.
Okay.
It's this one thing that's got me trying. Maybe The Power of Love from Back to the Future.
Yes.
Love of My Life, Erika Badu. Ooh.
Oh my God. I know I miss a mixtape.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, and there's so much personality in it.
Yeah.
It sucks because I'm like, oh, I thought I had my little Bow Wow CDs and my Sierra CDs, but mixtapes. And you know what? That reminds me of the last thing that I just finished reading.
Yeah.
I read a book. I wrote a book called The AI Who Loved Me by Alyssa Cole. Wonderful author. You have to read her Reluctant Royal series. Me and my sister, that's our jam. But this book, it was originally an Audible for Mindy Kaling and Regina Hall to read or something.
Okay.
But this read like a horror story to me. I was like, okay, y'all keep talking about this chat GPT, chat, help me with this. This is where we're going, where you fall in love with a boy and he's a robot. And like, I was trying to get into it, but I was like, this is scary. This is actually horrifying.
Yeah.
I want to talk to a human. I want to be with a human. He doesn't feel desire. It's just code. Oh, it was
There are
interesting.
some people in my life who have full conversations with their AI component, and they talk about them as they're real people. And I'm just like, that is not my life right now. Yeah, it's fascinating.
No, that's not the journey. I was trying to play with the Snapchat AI. You know, when they were like, this is your like friend. And I was like, all right, let me talk to it. The thing that turned me off was that it could not flirt. I know I just said what I said about the AI thing, but I'm like, there's just something so human and just like, okay, like going back and forth. If I tried to flirt with him, he'd be like, Google states two humans, you know, so I'm like
no,
and some of them
give
like,
me the
talk
banter.
to your best friend, have a phone call
Yeah.
with a human being. That's all.
Yeah. You know, talking about why I love reading now, I learned the moment I started talking about books around friends, those people started talking about what they're reading. And I was like, wait a minute, we've been friends for 10 years and we've never once talked about a book, because I'm a later life reader. And those people, there was no overlap to talk about books. And so all of a sudden, I've opened up new doors in terms of engagement.
New conversation idea.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Book club. Have you ever read a book that's so good and like you have to mail it to someone? You know what I mean? Like need someone else to read it.
So it's funny that you say that, because you are on the episode with Fredrik Backman, the author, and he wrote a book called Anxious People. And I told him, I was like, Fredrik, Anxious People is one of those books that whenever I'm at a thrift store, whenever I'm somewhere else, I always buy a copy of it if I see it.
I just saw it at the thrift store and I was like,
did you actually?
Okay.
I'm like, I always buy it so that I can give it to someone. Because I like have my copy, but I always have a bonus copy. And so I literally just told him that.
I think my book for that is American Marriage by T.R.E. Jones.
Oh.
Have you heard of it? It's about, it's an Oprah.
I know what the cover looks like.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about like a woman who like that she's a newlywed, and the day that they are like on a honeymoon or something, he gets accused of raping a white woman, and then he gets thrown in jail for it, and he has to serve the sentence. And they were newlyweds. And so the whole book is them writing back and forth to each other. And she becomes like a famous writer, a famous artist from selling dolls of him in prison. So it gets really morally confusing. It was so good. You just can't stop. I sent it to my friend who was in prison. They're all around the jail. He's like, read this. I got it in the system, honey. I gave it to my best friend who's not a reader.
Yeah.
And she gobbled it up. Like, it just feels so good. Just read these words quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. There's some books I say to people, you have to read it quickly, because
just swallow it.
Yeah, you need to just get through it so that you can appreciate it for its full mealness of it.
People read my memoir like that. It's a quick
Oh, yeah.
digestible thing
Super quick,
emotionally
super
and how it
digestible,
moves.
emotional, moving. Erika, as my guest spy reader, I have a question I've been asking everybody, and I think I know what
Okay.
your answer is going to be. But
Okay. Now
in
I
a
have to try to be unique or something.
in a moment of amplifying the people in our lives, people who we love, people who are important, if you were to die tomorrow and you had to call someone to clear the search history on your computer, who are you calling?
Oh, me. Oh, my. I'm like, what is the search really?
I love that that's what your brain is going to.
Yeah,
First,
I'm
it's
still thinking,
what
like,
is
what
my
do I need
search?
to hide?
And that will help you decide who it is that you ask.
Yes. Well, my two best friends, Ellen, who is also a Cancer, but she's far away.
Okay.
And of course, Jeremy,
That was my
who
guess.
knows
I
all
figured
of
you would say
my,
Jeremy.
yeah, he
Yeah.
knows all of the nasty. We have emails from the early 2000s that were always like, I'm going to cancel you in this. Just you wait. Just you wait. Just you
Oh
wait.
my God.
So he knows where to look. We've got some things where I'm like, are you going to get me back for that?
Oh my God.
Are
That's
you going to get me
so
back for that?
funny. Oh.
But yeah, he can clear the search history because we
Yes.
have each other's darkest and deepest.
Love, love.
Yeah.
This has been so great hearing people amplify these people who have their backs, who know where the bodies are buried. I love it.
Yeah, so when you see each other in the darkest, because we also had to survive together, me and Jeremy. There was a summer where we had no money and we ate oatmeal for every meal. So we're like this. You have to have your community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, one
that
thing we were was
oatmeal's
regular.
Right. You were
Okay.
regular. That oatmeal.
It was so hot in Chicago. God.
God.
So yeah, you got to have a good support system.
Erika J. Simpson, This Is Your Mother, out today. Coming out today. Everyone go get it.
Out today, 5/6.
Yes.
This Is Your Mother.
Yes.
Oh my God. Please read about my Gemini mother and the adventures that we get into together. Fighting the system.
So special.
Paying the rent.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I didn't even realize how special it is to watch this journey. Fredrik Backman, Erika Simpson, thank you both so much for being here. Just after recording with Erika, went to the thrift store where I found a copy of An American Marriage, which was the book that Erika was talking to me about. And she also went to the thrift store and she found a copy of Anxious People, which is what I was talking to her about. So that was really fun. Everyone go check out My Friends by Fredrik Backman. Make sure to check out This Is Your Mother. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.